Danny Flexen here for Seconds Out in the flat in central London of John Ryder, who many people out there feel should now be the WBA super middleweight champion of the world. Highly contentious decision defeat on Saturday night against Callum Smith. How are you feeling, John?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling like a winner. Not too many cuts or bruises. I feel good. I feel positive. The media storm on Twitter and Instagram, has been unbelievable. The support has been great. I mean, people are harping on a bit about it, but I think it just goes to show that I am a true deserved winner of them titles.
Let's start from the very start. I think there's a lot to talk about. But first of all, in training camp, when you first heard you got the fight, you and Tony started talking about it. What were the kind of key points in terms of strategy? What were you planning to do?
Everything we executed Saturday night. The plan was to go in there, not even to throw a shot in the first round, just see how Callum come out. We wasn't sure if he was going to come out to like a fielding, the way he come out to against fielding and try to blast him out with a round, or come out and box for the first few rounds. And he did come out and box, but it was always the plan. Nice high guard, don't go rushing in, don't be countering his shots, don't be falling into his catch counter, and just don't play into his hands, don't fall in with shots. And I think I executed that game plan perfectly, and I think Tony worked with me tirelessly with it, and I think we got it off to a T.
You were written off by the majority of observers in the build-up, it's fair to say. And there was a lot of talk as well about Callum's future and who he was going to fight after you, which is disrespectful in the extreme. But did that ever concern you in that everyone was talking about these big fights he was going to be in? Did you worry about the scorecards in advance?
Do you know what? It didn't until Ted Cheeseman had the fight with Fitzgerald, and it was like there's all this talk of Fitzgerald Fowler at Anfield, and I thought, well, what are they talking about that for? Like, that fight's not even happened. Callum's not even boxed me yet. Do you know what I mean? And then Ted went and lost, and I thought Ted won well. Then went and got done on the scorecards again, and you can see Ted afterwards talking that this is all a plan far greater than me fighting. Do you know what I mean? It's all about, there was no talk about me fighting Fowler, it was all about Fitzgerald Fowler too at Anfield. And it got to that point then when Tony said to me, like, you know you're going to have to do something special up there to win. And I believe I did do something special up there to win, and went up there against the world number one and put in a great performance, come away a deserved winner. And I think that the people's opinions have really shown that I did deserve to win and get a decision. But like we say, there was a plan far greater than me or Cheeseman winning those fights, and if we'd have won them fights, there would be no Anfield show next year.
I've watched it twice. The first time I scored it a draw, 114. Rewatched it this morning because I knew I was coming to see you, and scored it 114 to you. So only a slight change, but still, I find it very hard to believe anyone could fairly have given you fewer than 5 rounds, which all 3 judges did somehow. But what I wanted to ask, because this is something Tony was talking about this morning, about open scoring. He wants it brought in mainly so judges would feel kind of peer pressured not to turn in irregular scorecards. But do you feel if you'd have known the open scoring at the end of the 4th round and the end of the 8th round, you would have been behind both times, presumably? Would it have changed your tactics?
Yeah, I think it would have, because you've got to start chasing the fight then. I think it will make for a lot more exciting fights and a lot more battles. When you used to have it in the amateurs, when you'd get the computer score at the end of every round, and you'd see that you was 5 or 6 points down and needed to get back up, and you'd see a real surge in trying to get some points together. So yeah, I think it could be a good thing. I don't know about every round or every 4. I think every 4 is, you're not really giving yourself much of an option to get back into the fight. You've got 2 points of knowing where you're at. So if they did it every 2 rounds, might be a good thing. Just, you know that you got to play catch up a bit. You're behind a bit. Again, now I get his point. I think it's right. These judges, they get sent to the best hotels. They get their expenses paid for. It's a piss up for them, really, isn't it? It's a night out of the boxing, and their night in the hotel's paid for. So yeah, I mean, just even to sit down after, all us fighters, we all sit down with media outlets after and talk to them about the fight and give our opinions. Why shouldn't the referees be made? Not that there was an issue with the referee in this fight, but why shouldn't they be made to justify their actions in a fight and give their? I mean, you often get it that a referee wants to the audience to show their hands for a great performance. Well, let him give his appreciation for the fight and let him justify why he might have taken a point off or why he give that count or something. Let them justify it to the people at home. Let the people at home get a better understanding. And even with the judges, they hand their scorecards in and then they're nowhere to be seen. They're backstage getting their car back to the hotel, and it's like if they have got to sit there and they've given the opponent, like one of the opponents a harsh scorecard for 4 rounds, and then they've got to sit there getting dog's abuse for another 8 rounds. So yeah, rightly so.
And we'll go through the fight, not round by round necessarily, but there was a lot of contention about the opening kind of 4 rounds. A lot of people use that to justify Callum getting the win, that he'd done a bit more, or he'd worked a bit harder, maybe not worked harder, but certainly done a little bit more in the first kind of 2, 3, 4 rounds. What would you make of that, and what were you saying, what were you being told in the corner around those rounds?
Listen, it was always a plan. Just first round, I wasn't even going to throw a shot, but I got in there and I found my range quicker than I thought I was going to. I was slipping a lot more shots than I thought I was going to, and wasn't even taking as many on the gloves as I thought I was. So I was getting in a position to throw shots, and I wasn't. And I was thinking, I do need to start throwing it to be in this fight. Do you know what I mean? And I don't want to go through a round without throwing a shot. So I did start throwing some to the body and having success. Second round, pretty much more of the same. It was just first round, just get the distance. Second round, start edging in my feet, getting closer and starting getting the shots off. I think that's what I did. I mean, I've not watched it back to score it yet, but I don't believe that he ran away with the first 4 rounds. I believe that they could have been pretty even. And as him being the bigger, taller man, those were the 4 rounds, you'd think he'd try and get a foothold, try and get his jab working well, and try and just get 4 rounds up.
I had you splitting the next 4, so rounds 5 to 8, 2 each. Did you feel by the end of the 8th round that you were either even or ahead?
I did say to Tony, I think it was the end of the 7th, that I thought Callum was going to come out in the next round and have a real go and try and get me out of there. And he just said, all right, just be on guard and just be careful. And I think that's what I did. And I think I won the next 4 after that.
So, yeah, Tony had you sweeping the last 4. I think I made 1 even and the rest to you. You must have felt at that point, even though you were in Liverpool, you must have felt like you'd done enough and that you were going to get it.
Yeah, massively. I mean, in fights in the past, I've looked at it as a whole fight, and I've looked at it as like I've got to win every second of the round. But I just took this fight round by round and just didn't look too far ahead to later rounds. Just first round, second round. Each round was looked at individually. Just get through them, just win them, keep in front, and yeah, just come away the champion.
Having had your worries beforehand and seen what happened with Ted against Scott Fitzgerald, even though you felt you'd done enough by some distance, before, when you were all waiting for Michael Buffer to read out the scores, was there any doubt in your mind, and Tony's as well?
Listen, a lot of people said to me, you know you're going to have to knock him out to win up there, but listen, maybe stupidly I had faith that I could win on points, and look, take nothing away from him. I've blasted a lot of people out there at 168 £, and Callum Smith is a world champion, and he's beaten good fighters. I think his chin really stood up to the job on Saturday night, and I did catch him with some good shots. But I didn't get him out of there, but I still believe that I was a deserved points winner. Having faith in the judges seeing it that way was probably my own undoing. But listen, this is the sport we know and love, and we've got to keep the faith.
When the scores were read out, before they said who the winner was, did doubt start entering your mind then? Because when you heard, 117, 111, 116, 112 twice, they're very wide scores. Did you think, yeah, that's me because I've won widely, or did you think, wow, that's a bit wide, maybe they've robbed me here?
When I heard the 117, 111, I thought there's no way they'd have me winning that widely. So then I thought the next 2 probably be the other way, 116, 114 to me, and I thought, yeah, I'd be happy with that. And then both to go the other 2 to go the other way, I was just thinking like, how? Just gobsmacked.
Try and describe how you feel. I mean, you've obviously come around a bit now. You've seen all the support you've had out there, and that's cheered you up no end. But try and describe how you felt at the time when realisation hit, the best performance of your life, enough to win. in your mind and in the mind of most observers, it has to be said, but you didn't get the decision, and by such wide scores as well.
Yeah, no, just what have you got to do? You know, like it's not like I've gone to Italy to box a world champion or gone to the States. I'm boxing a fellow Brit. I know I'm going out to Liverpool and whatnot, but I believe that fighters come to London, they get a fair crack. I think Londoners go up north or anywhere, and they seem to really be against it, and it's not fair. Do you know what I mean? I feel like for myself, I feel down and disappointed. For Tony, I feel gutted. He's been on the road twice and had that done to him. And it's just tough. It's tough for us as fighters, as trainers in Tony, but just fans as well. You know what I mean? They spend their hard-earned cash on travelling up and down the country to support us, and it's demoralising for them. Do you know what I mean? People want to tune in, see good fights, and see deserved winners, and see good stories and people succeed, and that it's just that everyone's being robbed, really, aren't they?
You're with Matchroom, as Callum Smith is. You train at the Matchroom Elite Gym as well with Tony Sims. At any point going into the fight, did you feel like a house fighter, or did you always feel like the away fighter?
No, I always felt like the away fighter, and I think rightly so. Do you know what I mean? Callum Smith was the champion, or he's the champion, sorry. It was in Liverpool, and yeah, and I actually did like going in there with the underdog mentality. I liked walking to the ring being booed. Like, I embraced it. I believe that was all part of the situation, and going in there as a challenger. And I did say beforehand that I might get booed going to the ring, but I'll walk out to cheers, and I did.
Did Eddie Hearn say much to you after the fight about how he had it or how he felt about the decision?
Initially, he said it was close. Then he said he had Callum just nicking it, and that was it, really. But I think that hopefully now there'll still be another big fight for me in the future, whether it be a rematch or a vacant WBA regular title. But I don't think I'm finished at world level yet. I'm sure there's still a few more. Yeah, there's still a few more big fights there for me.
Talking about that, what's happening with the WBA? Because there's been stuff going around saying Tony or your team are going to protest the result or make some sort of representation to the WBA. So what's actually happening?
I think Tony's going to write a letter to Gilberto Mendoza, just stating that I don't get dropped right down the rankings, and that I can stay in maybe a number one spot and be ready for the next mandatory spot, if not a voluntary shot, and be in line for something else rather than dropping right down the rankings.
You mentioned a possible vacant regular title. I mentioned this on Twitter this morning. I think that's the most likely outcome, because then you're in a position where Smith goes and has his big Anfield fight and you maybe get the winner. And also you were the interim champion going into the Smith fight as well. So it kind of makes sense. If that was to happen, that was the solution they come back with. A, would you have a modicum of satisfaction with that? And B, who do you think it'd be against? Who else is up there in the rankings?
Eddie did say something about, is it Lennox Allen, the American? I think he's American Jamaican, isn't he? But it's one of them things, isn't it? It's like you've just gone boxing for the Ring magazine and the WBA Super, and it's like, we can fight for the WBA regular. And like, listen, Canelo has just vacated that title. It's a world title in my eyes, but he gets a lot of stick because there's the regular and there's a Super. People think that that's not actually the genuine world title, and it's like, well, it's half like you're just throwing me a bone there. And I appreciate being thrown a bone, but I've just gone for like the biggest prize in boxing, and then it's just like, well, you didn't quite get that, you can have this. So it's just, you know what I mean? It's like you go in boxing for the British title, and you lose a due decision. They go, well, don't worry, you can box for the English title. Do you know what I mean? It's still a title, it's still a nice consolation, but it's not actually what you want.
Do you think if you had a higher profile, generally, more would be made of this? Not that you wouldn't have got the decision against you, but there'd be more of an uproar and people would be pushing more for you to get the rematch, like George Groves when he lost to Carl Froch the first time.
I don't know, because I mean, honestly, I'm overwhelmed by the support I've had on Twitter and Instagram, and I mean, you speak to your team after the fight and you think like, did we deserve to win it? And everyone was like, yeah, that was our fight. And then you question it, but then you get back, and I got back to like 110 WhatsApp messages and looked on Instagram and Twitter and like bombarded with messages of people I don't even know, and you think like, well, it's not just us being delusional. Do you know what I mean? All these other people have seen it that way, and Scousers on there and whatnot, and you just think, well, they can't all be wrong. Boxing people as well, just everyone there, that you should be sitting there world champion now, and it's gut wrenching really, but you can take a lot of positive from it, and it's hard to be down when you're sitting there feeling like a champion. Everyone's in your ear telling you, and you're reading it, that yeah, you should be the champion.
You live here, you rent this place. You were saying earlier you've got a partner, you've got 2 children, 5-year-old and a relatively new baby, 15 months, did you say?
15 weeks, come up 16 weeks, yep.
Yeah, so a young family. Lots been said on Twitter. Tony was one person who said it privately, but a lot of people have said on Twitter, you're ruining people's lives. Imagine what the rightful win could have done for John, etc. Try and give people out there an idea of what difference beating Callum Smith would have made to you financially and for your family.
Well, look, but let's be fair. Look, I've had a good year. I've boxed out in Vegas. I've topped the bill up in Liverpool. So I'm not wondering where the next meal's coming from. But there is people a lot worse off than me. But winning this fight would have just propelled me onto a different level. Do you know what I mean? Everyone was talking about Smith fighting at Anfield or fighting Cano. These Cano fights could have been there for me as a Ring Magazine champion. They're the kind of people that the big superstars of the sport want to fight, the Triple Gs, the Canelo. So who knows what future earnings could have been then.
So do you feel, obviously it's not your fault, but you must feel disappointed, not just for yourself, but for your family and for the people around you, because this could have made that such a difference to all your lives?
Yeah, massively, because that's securing my kids' futures. Do you know what I mean? That's a house bought and paid for, and nice. It's better than being brought up in a. Not there's anything wrong with being brought up in a council estate, but it's growing up in a nice house with a big garden, and I mean just being able to enjoy the countryside a bit more, and whatnot, just having me around that a bit more. But it is what it is. Do you know what I mean? We love this sport. I would continue fighting till my last breath, and I think it's bred in us. But I know that I will come again, and I will be a world champion. I feel like a world champion, so it's just all about taking it into 2020 and making it a reality.
If you can carry on coming out of fights as relatively unmarked as you are this time, apart from the nick on your right eye from the head clash, I think you'll be able to go on for quite some time to come. I mean, does that kind of back up what you're thinking as well when you look in the mirror and think, God, you know, I don't look like I've been in a fight?
Yeah, no, it does. I mean, I feel like it, and there's a few like aches and pains, but I think that's just where I've been sleeping like twisted up like a pretzel. But yeah, no, I mean, it's like with boxing, as long as you're not getting hurt, as long as you're not getting beat up and battered, I'm comfortable at the weight. I'm enjoying boxing. Boxing is being good to me. Do you know what I mean? Without the obvious, but no, you know what I mean. The people I'm with in boxing, I love spending time with them. I love being around them. It's not a job to me. It's fun. So as long as it's that way and it's not a chore, then I'll be going on for a long time.
Why have you not watched the fight back yet?
Just been able to get off of social media, looking at all the response. I mean, no, I will watch it, but it's all a little bit fresh at the moment, and I mean, it's just trying nice to escape it and just watch a bit of EastEnders and watch a bit of the soaps. Do you know what I mean? A bit of I'm a Celebrity, but I mean, I've just spent the last 12 weeks in camp. Like I say, I've got a 16-week-old son that I've not really seen much of, so just about spending time with my kids and my missus, who's been supportive as anything to me. So just spending time with them, just getting back into the routine of being a family again. I will sit down one day this week and watch it on my own and just maybe turn the volume off. But no, I will catch up. But it was just a time to get to a bit of normality.
Yeah, so we really appreciate you inviting us into your home and getting a chance to ascertain how you're feeling about everything. And to be fair, it doesn't seem like, it seems like it could be a lot worse.
No, do you know what, it could be, and I'm lucky. Boxing, on the whole, is good to me. I've got a great man by my side like Tony Sims, his son Charlie.
What, you meant me?
Well,
literally by your side.
By my side, yeah. The thorn in my side. No, literally, I've got Tony Sims guiding me, Charlie Sims with me, Dan Lawrence, my strength and conditioner. I've got a great team right around me. The boys in the gym, I mean, you've seen the camaraderie down that gym. You can't, you don't get a moment's rest down there, do you? So it's just good fun, and I'm blessed. I mean, I've got a supportive partner, a daughter who wants to run around fighting me all the time and messing about, and a beautiful little son. So it's time to enjoy life a bit, be a dad, but I'm looking forward to getting back in the gym and making 2020 the year.
Brilliant. Thanks a lot, John.